property rights. Those are all comes under his own intellectual property, and these are the owned by himself only. So I gave one quotation also to implementation of intellectual property rights. There are two problems are being encountered. The first one is the document. What are these two problems that are encountering? I gave it in the form of a small clipping. Small clipping. What are these problems and what are the solution for these problems? Anybody can respond. No. Yes. So the cultures are under the state of endanger. That is the first problem. And the second one is this IPR is provided for the group of people, because the especially the tribal knowledge is the outcome of a group of tribal people, or the knowledge belongs to a one tribe or one race of group of people. So these are the two problems. If we provide the intellectual property rights by the constitution or by the legally or by the statutory bodies, if we provide this knowledge to those people, it will be support their economy and it will be elevated their poverty. So this is we have studied by the end of Saturday. And I said on that day that the history and evolution of IPR or the chronological development of IPR, intellectual property rights, will be taught in the next class. So now we will go for what is the chronological order in origin, evolution, development, and and amendment of the intellectual property rights in India, especially in India. So this bill, which is pertaining to intellectual property rights, or bill which is belongs to intellectual property right, was launched in the Parliament for the first time in 1967. In 1967, you have to write in chronological order. Chronological order. In the year 1967 only, the bill which is belongs to this intellectual property rights was launched in the parliament. Later, this bill, which bill? The bill which is belonging to this intellectual property rights, which came into force, which approved in the parliament in 1970. That is after 3 years. After 3 years, after launching the bill, 1967, it was approved in 1970 after 3 years, and it was came into force in 1972. 1972, this act or IPR Act, which was launched in 67 and which was approved in 70, was came into force from the year 1972. 1972. After after for this bill, India applied for the membership in World Trade Organization, WTO, World Trade Organization, for the membership of IPR, intellectual property rights, and they are accepted and they are approved by World Trade Organization, WTO, for intellectual property rights in the year 1994. So 1994 is the successful year for intellectual property rights in India, because World Trade Organization has been accepted and approved the Intellectual Property Rights Bill in India. From that day, we can enforce this act, Intellectual Property Right Act, on a person or a group of person or a person who has invented for the use of himself, for the use of his family, or for the use of society or nation. So this can be useful after the acceptance of World Trade Organization from the year 1994. Understand? But again, this bill was this whenever the World Trade Organization has accepted this bill, it was in India. The bill is launched in Lok Sabha and also in Rajya Sabha. But Lok Sabha has accepted this bill, but Rajya Sabha did not accept this bill. So the Rajya Sabha has been rejected this bill. Rajya Sabha has rejected this bill in the year 1995 about this intellectual property rights. But a right has been came up, or a right or act belongs to some rights has been came into force in India from 2001. 2001 in the by the name of the conservation of rights of farmers. In order to conservation of rights of farmers, an act, that is Farmer Protection Act, FPA, Farmer Protection Act. What is the use of this act? To conserve the rights of farmers, as well as to conserve the so many varieties in cultivated plants. This is the main aim of this act, in order to conserve the many varieties of crop plants, as well as in order to protect the rights of farmers. A bill has been came into force in the year 2001. Then in 2003, farmers have got a right with some rules and regulations. With some rules and regulations. So, with the rules and regulations, in 2003, another one more act have been came into force. Understand? And parallelly, in 2002, an act which was enforced by the government of India by name of Biodiversity Conservation Act. So this is the milestone. The what is the milestone? The 2002 Act, which was enforced by the government of India by the name of Biodiversity Conservation Act. So from this day, by the enforcement of Biodiversity Conservation Act during 2002, the biodiversity rules, principles, and some amendments in constitution have taken place. Even in constitution also, there was some place or some pages have been left for the constitution for the for the sustainable development and conservation of biodiversity based on 2002 Biodiversity Conservation Act. So the 2002 Biodiversity Conservation Act is said to be a milestone in the Constitution of India in order to conservation of biodiversity. So, 2002 Biodiversity Conservation Act has its own significant, and it played a crucial role in the Constitution of India along with intellectual property rights. Understand? So, depending on 2002 Biodiversity Conservation Act, in the year 2004, again, in the year 2004, some rules and regulations and some norms have been postulated or formulated. Some rules and regulations have been postulated and formulated in 2004. So, the 2002 Biodiversity Conservation Act is the basis for this act, basis for this postulation. And in 2004, rules and regulations of 2004 Act are divided into two parts. Are divided into two parts. What are these two parts? 2004 Act have two parts. What are these two parts? The first one is uh, yes, 2004 Act was not divided actually into two groups. Again, in 2007, IPR Act has been amended and modified. So that is, yes. Are you confused? Again, I will say, you see, in 2000 Act, you have understood. Later, some rules and regulations have been formulated on the basis of 2002 Act. It's okay. Then regarding IPR, that is intellectual property rights, regarding intellectual property rights, there was a constitution in 2007 with some rules, that is some principles and rules. So now what we are following now about IPR rights, IPR is now we are following the 2007 rules. So the 2007 IPR Act is the recent one, what we are now following. So according to IPR 2007 Act, there are two parts. Are you able to catch my point? So IPR Act 2007 has two parts. Up to 2004, they have gave the stress and importance for biodiversity. But later this IPR Act was amended and reinforced again in 2007. It has two parts. So this 2007 IPR Act only the recent one, what we are now following. According to this 2007 IPR Act, what I have said, that is, it has two parts. The first part is the first part is belonging to creativity of an individual. Creativity of an individual, especially a patents and industrial designs, copyrights, and plant breeding rights, plant breeding rights, and also some models, designs, all comes under part 1 of 2007 IPR Act. Are you able to catch my point? In 2007, recently amended, that is the recent one, IPR Act. In this act, there are 2 points. There are two parts. The first part indicates, the first part declares that there are two kinds of parts. The first part you can see is patents. I have told you what are patents. Patent means that is it belongs to a one person. If anybody will copy it or imitate it, he can he can take statutory actions, and also he can proceed legally. He can proceed legally if anybody can copy that right. That kind of rights which were provided by the intellectual property right to a person are known as patents. So patent rights, industrial designs, copyrights. I have also gave example for copyrights. If a author give a article, or an author wrote a novel or story or some drama, he has all the copyrights. He has all the copyrights on that on his writings. Nobody should copy it. If anybody copy those rights, he will proceed legally. So that kind of writings of an individual comes under copyrights. And the plant breeding rights. Most of plant breeding, especially in crop plants, in breeding. So for how why should we conduct breeding experiments in plants to get required quality or quantity of characters. In order to obtain quality characters, in order to obtain quality characters, the plant breeders will conduct breeding experiments. So these breeding experiments should not be copied out, because of, so it is his creation, or the breeding is the brain child of that breeder. So breeder will keep in his mind some characters. So he keeping in view of those characters in his mind, he will conduct some breeding experiments. So the results are the results of this his brain. The results which are achieved by the breeder are owned to himself. So those breeding experiments, or those breeding traits should not be copied out. So they will comes under first part of the IPR 2007. And also some designs. So design is given by one person. It is owned by his creation. So that designs are also comes under first part. And the second part comes under trademarks and geological indicators. Geological indicators are geographical indicators. Geographic indicators. Only two comes under part two. What are these two? Trademarks, trademarks, and geographical indicators. So these are all came in our introductory classes. Trademarks, ISA marks, Hull marks, all these marks. So the marks are indicated by a particular pharma or a particular industry or a particular company. Those marks are used by themselves only. If you see recently in contemporary days, in previous days, by the starting of this Kharif season in agriculture, most of the pesticides, insecticides, and other chemical insecticides, other chemical fertilizers, in advertisements you can see. So you don't use you can see while purchasing, this is our mark. This mark you have to recognize our trade or our product on the basis of this trademark only. You have to take care of our trademark while purchase the product. So while purchasing the product, we must see the trademark of a particular company or particular pharma or particular industry. So these trademarks are their own property. So they comes under intellectual property rights. They have intellectual property rights that were provided by the government. One should not copy those trademarks. So the trademarks of companies, companies means it may be a small company or a small scale industry or a mega industry or even some pharmaceutical companies. Trademark should not be copied. So the trademark is belonging to a company, not for persons, not for a persons. In first part, you can see in first part what aspects have come under first part, what aspects come under first part. Patents. The patents are belongs to a person. Then designs are belongs to a person. Copyrights belongs to a person. Or breeding experiments belonging to a person. That means you can simply remember that first part belonging to a person and the second part belonging to a group of persons, that is a company or pharma or any other. Understand? And the second part, what will comes under the second part, trademarks. And the second one, which comes under the second part, is geographical indicators. Do you know what are the geographical indicators? Very good example for geographical indicators are Tirumala Laddu. Did you take in anywhere in the Tirumala Laddu? One, it has got its own geographical indication. You will not find that anywhere that Tirumala Laddu. Only the Tirumala Laddu you can see where in Tirupati Tirumala Devasthanam property. You will not find anywhere the same Laddu at anywhere. If anybody will copy that Laddu, the government will take action. The government will take legal action. It will be liable to action statutory. చట్టపరమైనటువంటి చర్యలు తీసుకుంటారు. సో దిస్ ఈజ్ ఎ వెరీ గుడ్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఫర్ geographical indicators. Understand? And the geographical indicators are different from World Heritage Centers. World Heritage Centers. Anybody of you, the 4 students are there in the meeting. We have discussed about world heritage centers or world heritage sites, where we have discussed these world heritage sites or centers. You can say sites or centers. World heritage sites, world heritage centers. Did you see in the newspapers, yesterday's newspaper or before yesterday news? Recently, one World Heritage Site have been recognized. Recently, one World Heritage Site have been recognized by UNESCO. By UNESCO. Anybody can interact. Good. Ramappa Temple is the World Heritage Site. Recently it was. Also, for Lapaksh also, today you can see in our today's newspaper, the government of Andhra Pradesh is applied for this status of World Heritage Site to our Lapaksh temple, which is there at Anantapuram district, Lapaksh site. So the World Trade Sites have discussed I think Aditya, you are not in that class. So it is in 8th A1, we have studied in the context of in situ conservation. In situ conservation. For example, Konark Temple is the World Heritage Site. We have to conserve those those historical monuments, those historical monuments forever, where it is naturally located by legal boundaries and statutory warnings. We will conserve those rare constructions or rare monuments. So all this comes under World Heritage Sites or centers. So here geographical indicators are different from World Heritage Sites. Geographical indicators, another good example is Tirupati Laddu, and the other one is, you can see, yesterday means in last class I have discussed about all those things. Kondapelli Bommalu, Kanchi silk sarees, Kanchi silk sarees. Other people should not be copied that designs and the method of preparation of those Kanchi pattu seralo or Kanchi silk sarees. They have their that is their intellectual property. They have rights on their intellectual property. It was provided by the government. You see, this is the intellectual property right that is provided to a group of people, not for a single person. All a group of people, those who are taken it as a profession, all these professionals has this right. So this was provided by the government to in a group. So these are this kind of geographical indicators, or other one I have said that Kondapelli twice, Kondapelli twice. These are all comes under second part of the IPR Act 2007. Understand? This is about intellectual property rights. When you asked for the intellectual property rights in 10 marks, you have to write that what is IPR, what aspects comes under IPR. So what is the relation the IPR with tribal people? Because the most of the knowledge which is owned by the tribal people is is undergoing for biopiracy. In order to overcome the biopiracy or to stop the biopiracy, these intellectual property rights have been enforced by the governments of different nations in the world. So this IPR, how this IPR is being enforcing in India, and what is the chronological order of intellectual property rights? All those you have to write for intellectual property rights. Also, what are the problems that are encountering with intellectual property rights? What I have given a small clipping in last classes. Those are the two problems with intellectual property rights. All this you have to write while you are asked for 10 marks question. 10 marks question. So this unit has very short unit, but it has four questions. Four questions. What is this unit? This is the unit that ethnobotany as a tool to protect their rights, to protect their rights. So in this we have discussed three aspects. What is the first aspect? We have discussed three aspects. What is the first aspect? Sharing of plant wealth. Share. You are not steady in class. In class you are not steady. You are not hearing properly. The first one is sharing of plant wealth. The second one is biopiracy, and the third one is IPR rights. These are the three aspects and three dimensions of protection of ethnobotanical knowledge, or these are the tools of protection of ethnobotanical knowledge, or these three aspects are used as tools or devices or apparatus in order to protect the rights of ethnic people. And lastly, the fourth one. The fourth one. What is the fourth one? The fourth one, as I said, simply TK. What is meant by TK? What is meant by TK? Good. Traditional knowledge. Traditional knowledge. So the traditional knowledge. What is traditional knowledge? Or what aspects comes under traditional knowledge? Traditional knowledge has the aspect broad aspect, that means traditional knowledge. The traditional knowledge, what is the traditional knowledge? The knowledge which is transmitted from generation to generation is known as traditional knowledge. So when you want to any work, do any work, so what is this? So this is the traditional work, or this is the traditional method. As a tradition means, the tradition is said to be the performance or action or any work of action that is transmitted from one generation to another forever. That is the knowledge which is transmitted through generations, not by documentation. Of course, some of the knowledge have been documented, and some type of knowledge has not been documented so far. But here, the documentation or not documentation is not a question, but the tradition knowledge is the knowledge that is transmitting from generation to generation. That's all. This is very simple. You can say that is definition or meaning. The knowledge which is transmitted through generations is traditional knowledge, or a work or any activity which is transmitted from generation to another generation is known as tradition. Is tradition. Traditionally, we are doing some things. That is tradition. So, if this traditional knowledge, what aspects are comes under traditional knowledge? So, under the traditional knowledge comes as arts, 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 or comes as tradition, agriculture. You see, agriculture is the tradition. Agriculture is the tradition because it is transmitting from one generation to another generation. So we need not document that. We need not teach that. We need not propagate that. But the knowledge is transmitting. ఇప్పుడు వ్యవసాయం ఎలా చేయాలనేది దాని గురించి ఎవడు గ్రంథాలు రాయక్కర్లేదు, ఎవడు చదవక్కర్లేదు, చెప్పక్కర్లేదు. ఒక జనరేషన్ వ్యవసాయం చేస్తుందంటే తర్వాత జనరేషన్ కూడా అదే పద్ధతిలో వ్యవసాయం చేస్తుంది. ఇంకో పద్ధతిలో వ్యవసాయం చేస్తే పండదు కదా. అంచేత ట్రెడిషనల్ నాలెడ్జ్ అంటే ఇక్కడేమిటి? ది ఎనీ నాలెడ్జ్ విచ్ ఈస్ ట్రాన్స్మిటెడ్ ఫ్రమ్ జనరేషన్ టు అనదర్ జనరేషన్ ఫర్ ద వెల్ఫేర్ ఆఫ్ ది హ్యూమన్ బీయింగ్స్. ఫర్ ద వెల్ఫేర్ ఆఫ్ ది హ్యూమన్ బీయింగ్స్, ఆఫ్ కోర్స్. సో ది ఫస్ట్ వన్ ఈస్ ఆర్ట్స్ ఆర్ సెట్ టు బి ఎ ట్రెడిషనల్ నాలెడ్జ్, and the agriculture said to be a traditional knowledge, and medicinal knowledge is also said to be a traditional knowledge. Medicinal knowledge, if you see, especially the traditional medicine, the use of neem or use of turmeric or use of any other items in the kitchen as a medicine. Who said this? This is not by, it is not taught by anyone. It is not documented by anyone. There is no need to present by anyone. But it is traditionally going on. It is traditionally going on from generation to generation by use of turmeric, use of neem leaves, or use of common medicinal plants, or use of common spices are common useful herbs in the kitchen. These are all traditionally going on. So it is also the knowledge is disseminating. The knowledge is disseminating from generation to other, and the knowledge is disseminated in the same generation for so many people is also called as traditional knowledge. So it is this traditional knowledge is transmitted by decades and also centuries, over centuries, over decades. It is being transmitted. Especially the traditional knowledge is always indigenous knowledge. So the traditional knowledge is indigenous knowledge, not introduced knowledge or exotic knowledge or foreign knowledge or which is the adopted from other countries or from other nations. The knowledge which is belongs to indigenous, you know what is indigenous? Swadeshi, మన స్వంత మన స్వంత పరిజ్ఞానం, మన దేశీయ పరిజ్ఞానం ఒక తరం నుంచి ఇంకొక తరానికి అలా పరిరక్షిస్తూ ఒక తరం నుంచి ఒక తరానికి అందించబడుతుంది అంటే అది ట్రెడిషనల్ నాలెడ్జ్ అని చెప్పాలి. సో అగైన్ దిస్ ట్రెడిషనల్ నాలెడ్జ్ ఈస్ అసోసియేటెడ్ విత్ సమ్ బిలీఫ్స్ అండ్ కస్టమ్స్. సమ్ బిలీఫ్స్ ఆల్వేస్ traditional knowledge is associated with some beliefs. Otherwise, it will not be said to be a tradition. So, in the tradition, internally it has some beliefs. A tradition internally it has some customs and other cultures. The culture is also transmitted through generations, through generations. So, the traditional knowledge is an indication for the heritage and culture. So traditional knowledge can be said to be the transmission of heritage and culture, the transmission of heritage and culture, or the transmission of indigenous knowledge, which is associated with heritage, culture, and beliefs from generation to generations is known as traditional knowledge. So this most of the traditional knowledge is belonging to a some of the fields or domains. What are these fields? What are these domains? What is the scope of this traditional knowledge? What are the scope of this traditional knowledge? The first one, and you can put as a side heading as the scope of the traditional knowledge. The first one is first aid. The first one is first aid. First aid, first aid, preparation of models, literature, arts, customs, religious beliefs, religious beliefs. All these comes under this traditional knowledge. First aid. First aid may be taken place with some of the herbs or herbal products. So this knowledge is not written by anyone, only it is transmitted. So that the first aid is comes under traditional knowledge, the literature comes under traditional knowledge, some customs and religious beliefs. Religious means the beliefs which are associated with religion. The way different people of different religions have different beliefs. So here the religious beliefs, these are all comes under traditional knowledge. So the traditional knowledge or TK is TK is generated from time to time. You can write it as a second point, in scope of TK, traditional knowledge. The traditional knowledge is generating from time to time. The TK, traditional knowledge, TK, is already exist in the past and also present, and also it will be exist in future because it is being transmitted. So the knowledge which is associated with above fields means what I have told in the first point. Above fields are exist in the past, present, and also future because it is transmitting. So traditional knowledge, some of the traditional knowledge has been published by some anthropologists. Some anthropologists, you know what is anthropologists? Some historians. Historians means those who studied history, and also some ethnobotanists, that means who have studied ethnobotany, who have studied and research on ethnobotany. So this traditional knowledge have been published. In some extent or some part of the traditional knowledge published, has been published in order to has been published in order to by the result of researchers like anthropologists. You know what are anthropologists? The second one is historians, and the third one is ethnobotanists. So the traditional knowledge what we have enjoying now is the result of a research or outcome of the research by anthropologists, historians, as well as ethnobotanists. And the next one, you can write it as, so this is not stable. The traditional knowledge is not stable. It is flexible. That's all. This is the main point. You can expand this. The point is, it is not stable. The traditional knowledge is not stable. It is flexible. It is not constant. It is not stable. The traditional knowledge is undergoing some amendments. So traditions also have been changing. So the knowledge is also comes under changing. The traditional knowledge is also is undertaken by changes, is undergone changes. So this traditional knowledge or the traditional knowledge is owned by some particular people, or this traditional knowledge is belonging to some people, or the traditional knowledge is the property of some particular people. Which people? What kind of people? For example for example herbal doctors, not వైద్యులు అన్నారు, హెర్బల్ డాక్టర్స్, భూత వైద్యులు, భూత వైద్యులు, అండ్ ఫోక్ folk practitioners, folk practitioners, they have this traditional knowledge. So these are the source of traditional knowledge. From where you will find the traditional knowledge? These persons are full of aware of this traditional knowledge. They are aware of traditional knowledge. They will transmit to generations. Those people such as herbal doctors, herbal doctors, bhotavaidyas, folk artists, and folk researchers, and also some housewives, aged housewives, old people, old persons, people అనుకోండి, old persons. These are the source of these are the source of traditional knowledge. Are you able to understand me? So herbal doctors always gives the herbal remedies by using various plant parts. So they have the abundance of traditional knowledge. And the second one, Bhota Vaidyas. So they are associated with some cultures, some traditions, and beliefs. They have some traditional knowledge. And the next one is folk, folk, who practices this folk practices, folklore. You have to write it as folklore, FOLK, a small hyphen and LORE. Folklore అంటే జానపద సాహిత్యం. The persons, those who have folklore, are folklore people. Folklore people. Also some aged housewives and old persons. So, for example, at home, in kitchen only, they use some traditional knowledge. Old women, old housewives, and also some aged persons. Aged persons because they have observing or they are experience from their childhood to present days. So this is useful as the source of traditional knowledge, as a source of traditional knowledge, because of they have most of experience from their childhood. By the time of their childhood, they have seen the elderly persons in those days, so that they are the source of traditional knowledge. Traditional knowledge. These are all the source or resources of the resources of traditional knowledge. Traditional knowledge. And another way you can say these are the human resources for the traditional knowledge. Human resources for the traditional knowledge. So these are all will act as human resource for traditional knowledge. These group of people comes under resource for the traditional knowledge. And again, what I have said you in the beginning of this topic, the traditional knowledge topic, this may be this may be documented or it may not be documented. This may be documented. This point we have discussed in the beginning of this topic only. Traditional knowledge may be documented or may not be documented. So some kind of knowledge, for example, very good examples, the traditional systems of medicines in India, you can say Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, homeopathy. These are all the traditional knowledge, but they are documented. They are documented. Very good examples for documented traditional knowledge are Ayurveda, Siddha, homeopathy, Unani, Tib, Unani Tib, TIB, Tib. These are all documented. The knowledge which which is which pertaining means which associated, which pertaining to traditional knowledge have been already documented, and also a part of the ethnobotany also documented. Because as I rightly said, from last 3 or 4 classes, from last 2 decades, the ethnobotanical studies have been more or much ethnobotanical investigations have been taken place, and this ethnobotanical knowledge have been documented. So here the documented traditional knowledge is also there, but like ethnobotany, Ayurveda, Homeo, Siddha, Unani, all those. These are all the traditional knowledge which was documented. Simply we can remember. These are all the traditional knowledge. Ayurveda is the traditional knowledge which was given by the Rishis and Maharshis of India. And this is mostly practiced now at China. But the origin of Ayurveda is in India. So this is the traditional knowledge. It was documented. Also, prior to these Ayurveda or traditional systems of medicines, there are two popular books that is written by Charaka and Susrita as Charaka Samhita and Susrita Samhita. This is the most grateful traditional knowledge which was documented, and some part of the traditional knowledge was not documented. The traditional knowledge which was not documented is comes under only the knowledge which is based on their customs and religious beliefs. That kind of knowledge was not yet documented. It was not documented so far. The traditional knowledge which was not documented so far is the knowledge which is associated with the customs, traditions, and associated with religious beliefs. So, the traditional knowledge, the part of the traditional knowledge was documented, and part of the traditional knowledge was not being documented so far. So, this is the scope of traditional knowledge. Scope of traditional knowledge. And next, the importance or significance of the traditional knowledge and conservation of traditional knowledge will will learn in next classes. There are two more aspects on traditional knowledge. Another aspect of traditional knowledge is significance of traditional knowledge, and other aspect of traditional knowledge is conservation. How can we conserve this traditional knowledge? Today we have learned about traditional knowledge, about only the scope. What is the traditional knowledge? What aspects comes under traditional knowledge, and what is the scope of traditional knowledge? Only we have learned today. And remaining part of the traditional knowledge which belongs to that significance and conservation will be learned in the next class. Tomorrow we will learn about significance of the traditional knowledge. This is about today's class. Okay.